Gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Comrade! Labor right, them a go down, bang. Them a go down, bang. Them a go down. Is that? Margie, him a god bikini. No hope their work if you touch Margie. Margie, him a god bikini. No hope their work if you touch Margie. We now vote for Labour. Orange we a come out in now. If you love the PNP, who no step out for Marky G. Jamaica just come along with we. People time come, people time come, people time is up.
Only thing that's on my mind is who's gonna run this town tonight.
Yeah, I say that we are. Pledge your allegiance.
Who's gonna run this town tonight?
Yeah, I say that we are.
We gonna run this town.
Make the trumpets play. Make the trumpets play.
Dear Jamaicans, morning again. You make me fix my bonnet on my head properly. So, me get to understand, say, Cliff Hughes and Nationwide and them people here, George Davis, whoever this is, they are basically making fun of two senior comrades attending a PNP meeting over the weekend. So for those of you who want the backstory, Nationwide is basically trying to say that the PNP is desperate because comrades KD Knight and Bobby Pickersgill, both who are senior citizens over 80 years old, needed assistance to go on the platform at a political meeting put on to introduce KD Knight's daughter as the PNP candidate. So, stick up in. Stacey Knight is being presented as the MP candidate for Northeast St. Andrew. And labor rights are saying it is desperate for her father, who just had hip surgery, by the way, had a fall, had a little issue, and had surgery. Decided to come LRI water him after their daughter presentation. And that is desperate. Because the man want to go to him daughter presentation. And Comrade Bobby Pickersgill, who has been retired from active politics from 2020. Is an issue if he wants to attend the meeting, which was basically down the road from where he live. Oh, that makes sense. Now bear in mind that Comrade Bobby Pickersgill is 82 years old and retired from active politics in 2020. Comrade KD Knight is 83 years old and retired from active politics in 2015. Right? 10 years, 5 years and 10 years. So, well in them 70s. But stick up in and look at this now. Wanna watch this. Who is this? Who is this? Who is that? Wanna talk to me there? Who that? Who is that? The Honorable Lester Mike Henry. You know how old him is? In June 2025, Lester Mike Henry will be 90 years old. Him retire from politics yet? When him retire, me need a labor right to tell me when Lester Mike Henry retire from politics. KD Knight and Bobby Pickersgill are younger than Mike Henry and both have retired long time and only come out to support Stacey Knight. But to know have Lester Mike Henry in Parliament and have the audacity to complain? You cannot be the same labor rights who paraded Seaga's casket with him supposed remains all across the island. You're talking about leave the people them to old and retire when you actually walk around with caskets with remains parading at the meetings. It can't be the same labor right them. NNN, really, you really want to go there, NNN? You really want to go there? If I were you, I'd sit this one out. Me would have sit this one out. Because Comrade KD Knight and Comrade Bobby Pickersgill don't owe you no explanation for why them want to attend a political meeting. Right? Them not in a casket like Eddie Siaga. Wanna have everywhere at every rally and every political meeting till you claim say you're ready for put him in the ground. Don't start with us today. Listen, tread carefully, you know. Tread carefully. You can't say we never warn you. Tread carefully. Leave people and them age alone. Leave people and them age alone. Leave people and them age alone. When Mike Henry retire, you come talk to me. Until then, just tread carefully and hold your corner. I thank you. Have yourself a great day.
Who will be alive if Andrew must go down to? He must go down. Because he came to Parliament to say that 26,000 young people needs to go to heart. But he's implementing a program for 30 per constituency. That's 1,800. He must go down because 25,000 will not go to heart.
Andrew must go down. Must go down.
But they don't know that the Matsman is here.
Must go down.
They don't know that the Mats boss is here. And so when I say X plus Y equals Z, it is correct. Because they have a program called LIFT. There is 220,000 children in the age group. And they will give 500. 500 will get LIFT. And 221,000 will get left. I don't know if Andrew, if the whole government must go down. So my comrades, see the signal waving in the sky. Reinforcements now is coming. Central Manchester victory. South Manchester victory. Northwest Manchester victory. People's National Party's victory is now. Respect for to the people.
From the People's National Party Media Unit.
This is Dr. Dayton Campbell, General Secretary of the People's National Party. As a medical doctor, I must speak plainly. What's happening at the Kingston Public Hospital is a public health emergency. 18 out of 20 areas tested at KPH showed dangerously high levels of mold on walls, ceilings, and even in the air patients and staff are breathing. Operating theaters have been shut down, surgeries delayed, and both healthcare workers and patients are being forced to operate in a facility that poses serious health risk. Let me be clear. More like this can trigger asthma, cause infections, and severely impact those who are already vulnerable. This is not just a building issue. It is a life issue. It's a leadership issue. How can the government stay silent when Jamaica's largest public hospital is literally falling apart? The People's National Party is calling for immediate action, full remediation of all affected areas, a national hospital audit, and a proper plan to protect the people who protect us, our doctors, nurses, and also the patients. We also demand answers. Who knew and why was nothing done? This is about lives, and the time for excuses is over. We stand with Dr. Alfred Dawes in demanding accountability and urgent action. Jamaica deserves better.
Visitor
Attention of the ECJ in respect of been issued by the courts, the next point of action would be for the Parliament, as the Electoral Commission of Jamaica would not be receiving any directives from the court, but through the Parliament, would forward said ruling for the attention of the ECJ in respect of continuing the process of making Portmore the 15th parish of Jamaica.
Is there an agenda for today's meeting?
Member Jackson.
Thank you. So inquiring, is there an agenda for today's meeting?
Yes,
I
removed the document from your decks. An email was sent out. I wanted to make an adjustment or correction to a note on the agenda. And we also took a little bit of time to photocopy some of the documents that would go along with the court ruling, which I'm sure the ECJ would have, but for proper process and due order to send it to the ECJ from our committee.
So just for clarification, the agenda will be recirculated?
Yeah, absolutely, okay. Absolutely.
Look at these storage cabinets. You can use them individually or stack them together for larger cabinet.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's it. So, members, by required to follow the provisions of. Thank you for your patience, members. Just resending for printing. All right. So members, I can almost read out what they... No. They're printing the agenda. We're sent it out by email as well. So the only edit being made to the agenda is matters for discussion. This section is quoted, section 67.3 of the Constitution, and it is updated to indicate definitively what is being done, which is submitting the provision of information stemming from the ruling of the Supreme Court regarding the commencement of the process of making Portmore the 15th parish of Jamaica. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica is hereby required to follow the provisions of the Constitution accordingly in this respect. So the only thing the committee would be doing today is forwarding the ruling of the Supreme Court, and the Electoral Commission takes the issue from there.
I think we have to go a little bit more than that. Was the bill that was passed in Parliament forwarded to Electoral Commission? I don't think so. So it means that we will now have to direct that bill and the map with the boundary be forwarded to them with necessary instructions, not just a ruling. Because a ruling must be based on something. So we will have to forward that to them, I believe, and make the necessary recommendation to them, I believe.
My colleague is insisting that we acknowledge that it's an act, it's no longer a bill. Yeah, sure.
So, Madam Chair, it would be a matter of procedure, therefore, but the substantive responsibility of the Boundaries Committee would in fact have access through the regulations as it relates to what our functions are. And our function does not include necessarily that we do that as a function of the Parliament. What we can ensure is that the Parliament does in fact execute according to its mandate.
Madam Chair, there are another reasons why I inquired about the agenda is the one that was circulated. I realized that there was no minutes reference for this meeting, minutes of the last meeting of the committee, and I'm making inquiries about that.
I had made inquiries, and they have not been able to locate the minutes of the last meeting. I'm not so sure how long ago that was. I believe it is before my time. I would have not been chair of the committee at the time. Parliament is hunting for it, Member Jackson.
Still the government. Government is continuous. Doesn't stop with one administration.
Chairman.
Madam Chair, I'd like to suggest that this committee is meeting for the first time in this cycle, so therefore the issue of minutes would not obtain as it relates to the last meeting of this committee, since in fact it is the first committee meeting of this constituted body. May it please you?
No.
It is required under section 67 that a electoral boundary committee be established immediately after a general election. This committee has not met since the establishment. The last time this committee met to deal with constituencies was prior to 2011. A committee met was prior to 2011, when we created then the South Central, St. Catherine, East Central, St. Catherine, and what have you, and Central St. James. It was prior to 2011. We met after that, but that was a recommendation from the Electoral Commission to realign constituents because of Mr. Fisher claimed then that some of these constituencies went over parish boundaries. And he could not prove in this committee, you were in the meeting also, could not prove in this committee that what he was recommended and the boundaries for those constituents, he couldn't prove the validity. So the committee ended then, no decision was taken because the recommendation that he wanted could not be substantiated by him or electoral committee. So the real meeting of a committee was prior to 2011. Because there's no reason to meet. The issue, as the Constitution says, it's supposed to meet minimum 4 years after the last boundary changes were done, or the maximum of 6 years. We have not looked at any constituent boundaries prior to 2011.
Let me just defer to the AG for a moment, if you don't mind, Member Jackson. Let me just defer to the Attorney General for a moment, if you don't mind.
Clarify the point, Chair. It is the relevant section is section 67 subsection.
Hold the mic closer.
I'm terribly sorry.
No. Just hold it close to you.
Section 67 subsection 1 of the Constitution. I'll just truncate a little bit to make sense. As soon as practicable after the House of Representatives first meet following any general election. So that clarifies the point. This is where it meets. The reference that your last member spoke about 4 years. The reference that the other member made about a four-year minimum and a 6-year maximum is for subsequent meetings of the committee, not any meeting, subsequent meetings. So once you've had after you've given the report. So if you give a report, then you cannot do it further than 6 years or less than 4 years after you've given the report.
Madam, this is not a...
You may go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is not a contentious issue, you know. I just need it to be
No,
guided.
absolutely not, Member
And let me just say, I just need it to be guided, and as was indicated, this is the first time that the committee is being convened since since the Parliament came into being. And I just wanted to have that clarification, given that I am a designated member of the committee too. And secondly, for the purpose of continuity, because even though administrations change and we have a renewal of Parliament at each electoral cycle, the records of the Parliament remains the records of the Parliament. And so all I was inquiring about when I asked about the minutes is so that I can advise myself, being here for the first time since the committee's meeting, as to the last set of matters that the committee dealt with. That's all.
So Member Jackson, I had done the same because it would be the first time that I'm chairing the committee. The minutes of the previous meeting would not relate to the current meeting, in that the report from the committee would have sealed the discussions and deliberations at that time. But I asked because I was just interested in reading. So what I will also do is have the Parliament take a look at reports from committees as another place to search, so that we can find the reports, and if not, get some details as to what would have been the minutes and what would have been discussed at the time, just for edification.
On this, Madam Chair. And in the search being done, we just provide a copy of the last report that was submitted from the committee that last met.
If you got ill or injured today, you could be waiting up to a year on the NHS to start treatment. If you're over 50, now is the time to take your health seriously and start considering health insurance. With private health insurance, you're putting your health first with access to fast, high-quality care. 24/7 online.
that was submitted from the committee that last met.
So, Chair, the matter being not a contentious one, it shouldn't detain us too much.
No, I just wanted to do some circulation because we didn't have adequate copies. This was a
Chair,
map.
just for good order, if the member is requesting that a set of minutes from a previous committee be made available to us for a future date, that can be entertained. But insofar as this meeting is concerned,
for this meeting,
exactly.
member Bartlett, but it was never.
Never
prepared. I didn't get the sense that it was for this meeting.
He has a
Member
disposition,
Jackson.
though, to think that I'm unreasonable.
Member Jackson, today we're in a wonderful spirit. So I didn't get that sense out of Member Jackson. I literally just wanted it to, to have an appreciation of the type of discourse.
But note that it is part of his mischievous disposition. That's for the record.
All right, members. So I will ask that, as is customary and required, that the members, unless you have any objections, we would pass to the Electoral Commission of Jamaica a copy of the ruling along with a copy of the Act as passed by Parliament for their deliberations and their observations and their ultimate process. We in this committee would not be engaging in anything other than to pass or submit the information down the chain. Do you so move?
Along with the boundaries, not just the act, but the boundaries also.
Yes, I have
one. And the issue is that there are two other copies here in color.
So members, let me just hold them up. Member Warmington is being very challenging.
Not challenging.
This document in black and white is the document of the map of the parish along with the boundaries circulating in the Parliament, but it is not as clear. This colored map is the exact same map, and you may take a look at them and match them. This, yes, so both will go, both the one attached to the bill or the act and the updated colorful copy.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
But the issue?
And it also has attached to it an environmental...
So Portmore?
Yes, so Portmore and its environs.
Yeah, that was done by the National Land Agency, and it shows the toll road. That's the boundary of the parish. And this one is the one that's in the bill, but that one is not blown up, and it's in black and white and hard to be read. And this is what went to be in the bill. And it's clearer than what you have there.
Yes, you're reiterating what I said, Member Warmington, that it's clearer, and we're sending both the unclear copy and the clearer copy,
and
so that there is no challenge.
And my understanding is from what is in the Act that affects 3 constituencies.
Member Warmington, I do not want to have any understanding.
Yes.
Or go down that road. Our job is to pass the bill, the act,
there a reason why
along
I said
with...
that,
No, Member Warmington, I am not going there with you. I'm not going there with you.
I'm not going anywhere, so can you be going with me?
I'm not going there, Member Robinson.
I just want clarity, Madam Chair, and we have the AG and the SG. In keeping with Section 67.3 of the Constitution, is the committee's mandate today only to pass the information from the ruling, and we are not commencing a review of boundaries?
I would want to make that answer very clear. I do not think we need to go any deeper, Member Robinson. Respectfully, the chair actually adjusted the agenda to make sure it is documented that that is what we are doing today. We are not having any boundary discussion.
Okay.
We are just passing the ruling as it relates to establishing the parish and nothing else.
Thank you very much, Madam
And that
Chair.
is very clear. So members, Member Warmington, I do not want to deliberate on it any further. I would like you to put it to a vote unless you have a objection to us passing it. I do not want our meeting to descend into a contentious one. So members, Jesus, point of order. Tell the member to turn off yours. No, you may ask him kindly. Member Jackson, would you be so nice as to please turn your mic off? Thank you.
All right, he has. Madam Chairman, I would go further than that, than just to, Madam Chairman, I'll go further than that, to pass the act and the boundaries to Electoral Commission for them to do. I think we should add on that, to that recommendation to them, that this be included in the voters list coming in May. They be considered as part of that voters list in May. Until that is done, this is of no use. So we should add that to the recommendation. So I'm asking for amendment to what you just said, to add that to it.
Yes, Chairman, this particular...
Member Warmington, turn your mic off, please.
Sorry.
This particular sitting of the committee is deliberating on a matter that is unprecedented in our history, in fact, in recent. Certainly, we've never had a situation where a new parish has been established, certainly in my lifetime, and certainly in my 38 years in this honorable house. Therefore, there's no precedent. And the Parliament having passed the bill and the act having now been in a position to be fully implemented, we have one responsibility, and that is to forward the act to the relevant AOJ who has that responsibility and to whom we have arrogated the right to deal with boundaries and delegated in order for us at a later date to approve. And that the simple matter, therefore, is for us to do so and to offer them a timeline to enable them to complete in reasonable time so we can deal with the matter appropriately. May it please you.
Member Jackson, after which I will just ask, because I want to be abundantly clear as to the call of each member. So I will just put it to a vote. Members, Member Jackson.
Yes, not to do with that, but the related subject of what is being referred to the ECJ, and in particular the Electoral Office itself. We have the benefit of the AG in our midst. Very unusual. I'm honored to be sitting in the same chamber with the AG. But there is on the matter that is being referred to the ECJ, there was a comment made or attributed to the AG that I would like the benefit a little clarification regarding the court ruling that we are acting on. That the ruling, the order that was handed down by the Supreme Court, just for my edification, was there a lifting? Was there a lifting of the injunction?
Temporary injunction.
Yes. Was there a lifting of an injunction by the court?
Yes.
But I ask you that because my understanding is that the injunction that was issued prior to had expired upon that hearing.
Yes.
So if it expired, it couldn't have been lifted.
Hold on a moment. AG, would you be so kind, turn your mic on again, please?
Thanks, I'm very good. What we have here is an undertaking by the minister to ensure that the constitutional process is followed. There's no injunction preventing anything, and it would probably a little bit eccentric, perhaps, for a court to want to give that type of injunction for any longer on man time. But the minister's undertaking to the court is that before he exercises the power given to him by the statute, he will ensure that the constitutional requirements are carried out. It might be useful to say that this function of determining constituencies, or the number of them, and the boundary of them resides in your parliament. It doesn't reside in anybody else. I know we're all very proud of the Electoral Commission, and we attribute to them all sorts of responsibilities. But the Commission's responsibility is just to advise first this committee, and this committee will then recommend to Parliament. So, yeah, so the function, I make the point that you're deferring so often to the Electoral Commission, but you defer to it to advise you, and you will accept or reject the advice it gives. The Parliament makes the decision as to what the boundaries are.
I just want to follow up with the AG. I fully appreciate the latter point you made regarding the authority of the ECJ vis-a-vis the Committee of Parliament and the full Parliament. I just want to clarify about this lifting of injunction, that there was no injunction to be lifted because it had expired. And what happened, as you said, is that the court issued an order requiring the unconditional or unequivocal compliance.
The language of the thing. It's a consent order. The parties agreed to it.
No, I'm clear now.
The consent order is the minister has a power under the statute to designate the date the statute takes effect. And he has undertaken not to designate a date until he ensures that the constitutional process takes place.
Okay.
Which means that this committee must make its recommendation as to how many constituencies it needs and how many.
Clear.
And will advise the appropriate office, the minister in charge of the elections, and of course, advise
AG, I missed this committee must make. Could you repeat?
I'm saying this committee has a responsibility to advise on the numbers and on the boundaries of the Constitution. It is its decision. No other body has that. In doing so, it acts on advice. It acts on advice of obviously its members. It acts on advice of the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission function is to advise you. And then you accept or reject it. And this committee, of course, will make a recommendation to its Parliament, which may or not accept what you say. Parliament can change the recommendation you make.
Thank you very much, AG. So I will now put it to the vote that we pass the information. I do not take Member Warmington's point that, Member Warmington, please, that we insist on certain considerations. However, I would want us to incorporate in our vote so that timelines are important and set, that they return to us by May 31st, an indication of what they've decided and exactly what they're doing. So as a parliament, we are informed and we move forward from there. So we would ask that the ECJ return to us by May 31st. Let me go over. We will submit a copy of the court ruling. We will submit the copies of the administrative boundary that would have been attached to the act, both the not so clear copy and a clear copy, and the Portmore and Environs document. Members, I'm hearing a lot of talking. I'm moving for us to vote. Please, no, I am putting it to a vote.
Thank you.
Member Hilton, I am just reiterating, we are forwarding the ruling of the court. That's what we're forwarding. Yeah. We're forwarding a copy of what would have been attached to the Act and the Act from Parliament. We are forwarding a copy that is a little clearer in terms of color of the exact document. Mm-hmm. And the only thing I've added to what I've been reiterating is taking into consideration the comment of Member Warmington in terms of getting a feel for time, not to insist on his statement, I won't even repeat it, but to ask that time be considered and it is not just, and it is not languishing forever, that they return to us by the 31st of May with an indication with where they are, what is the final.
With an update. With an update.
On or before the 31st. So we're just setting a timeline to say, look, by the 31st of May, they would have come back to us.
On the first promise. On the things that we are putting back in the office. On the things that we are novice. On the better listen to this. Vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. We have to tell them promptly, people just vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, we have to tell them promptly, cause when they win them a go dump way. Marky G, you know you the people them really want to see a great leader who will talk to we. Put on the boat and go, they go walk to we. Yes, go march to we, because we have some guy with them on a intention, leading the country in the wrong direction. That's why we come to make we own a selection. This we are gonna do when in call the election. Vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. So we are tell them promptly, people just vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. We have to tell them